And let's go ahead and welcome Skarzig onto the desk. Skarzig, you're going to be casting a win-in. This is going to be incredible.
The groups have tied themselves up. We don't have to worry about tiebreakers. Everybody knows, the players know that everything is on the line at this point to make it to day 3, to make it to that top 8. And we're also blessed with some really spicy lineups. I'm really looking forward to casting the next couple games.
Yeah, this one is going to be great as we're getting into Kevin versus Odyssey.
Let's go ahead and pull up that versus card. Just to give everybody the preview, the visual to go along with your explanation, Swim.
All right, so, Kevin on the left, of course, has a Plunder deck, pretty standard, a Lulu Poppy deck, and of course, the Sivir Demacia. Keep in mind, Kevin, one of the kind of like the best players recognized in the South America region, and honestly, a really, really strong standing from him so far.
And Odyssey, coming in from Thailand, has been playing very well, is running the Ping City list, which has not really been performing too well, but when you're playing a deck with so much aggression and so much burn, there's always a chance for you to get an almost free win when you combine that with, of course, the Lulu Poppy. Depending on how the bans land, we could see some very quick matches coming through.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I think that a lot of attention is being given to, Draven decks of any kind, both Sion and Caitlyn and Ezreal, and a lot of attention is given to Zoe Nami, but not enough people are talking about how good Bandle City is overall. I mean, Bandle City has so many good decks across all of these iterations of lineups. A lot of lineups are bringing 2 different Bandle City decks in them, and we can see that in Odyssey's lineup as well. I mean, it's a really, really powerhouse in this region.
Well, let's hear a little bit more about one of the players that is participating in this win-in. Let's hear about Odyssey.
สวัสดีครับชื่อพุทธิวัฒน์ตันติเสรณีชื่อเล่นชื่อเก่งชื่อในเกมชื่อ Odyssey นะครับผมมาจากประเทศไทยครับก็รู้สึกตื่นเต้นมากๆเลยครับผมเพราะว่าจะได้เจอกับผู้เล่นในทวีปอื่นที่นอกเหนือจากซีผู้ต่อสู้ที่คิดว่ายากที่สุดน่าจะเป็นอลันทีฮิวนะครับเพราะผมดูสตรีมเขาค่อนข้างบ่อยแล้วก็มองว่าเขามีการคิดเพลย์ที่ยืดหยุ่นแล้วก็รวดเร็วดีผมว่าก็คงรู้สึกดีใจแล้วก็ภูมิใจในตัวเองมากๆเพราะว่าเป้าหมายสุดท้ายของผู้เล่นที่เป็นฝ่ายดีที
I love how that is the second player in our interviews to say that they are scared of Alan. I mean, Skarzig. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, we all know that Alan is a very calculating, very powerhouse player, and coming into this tournament, you can really see that Odyssey is just happy to be here, right? Happy to be amongst the best of the best. Hopefully, he can get a little cockier, right? Believe in yourself, my friend, because if you win this one, you will be advancing to the top 8, and, so far, so good. Things have been very, very close. We haven't had the dominance that we did see from NA yesterday, so still very close, and it could be anyone's game.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk a little bit more about the lineup, Skarzig, if you're interested, because I'm curious actually what you think about these lineups. Like, who would you say is favored, like lineup to lineup?
I mean, the Plunder, I think, has been underperforming overall. Aloof Travelers have been hitting some really good targets. We've seen players come up short, unable to draw their champions, but Feel the Rush is just such a potent wild card that if Odyssey thinks that he should ban that out, you've got 2 ridiculous decks remaining.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, Odyssey, of course, has the double bundle, the Draven Sion, Kevin on basically a completely different lineup, using a lot of similar constituent components, but on the other side, the Plunder, the Akshan Sivir, and the Lulu Poppy. Not a single overlapping deck here, except for, of course, the Lulu Poppy that they both brought. I mean, if I had to say, Odyssey is looking pretty favored here from my perspective.
The more aggressive, I think, color of the matchups and the overall lineups from Odyssey means that you're always going to have that edge against a slower, more mid-range style that Kevin has brought.
Yeah. I mean, if you're one of these players, Skarzig, I mean, let's say if you're Kevin, like, who would you think about banning here?
I think Lulu Poppy maybe needs to be the ban. That's one that's just so explosive. It gets on the board so quickly. You're thinking about maybe Sejuani coming down and AoE frostbiting the board. That's like the dream. But I think that deck might just be a bit too fast for you. You have to get so lucky with like triple Monster Harpoon to keep stopping Poppy and Lulu over and over and over again.
Yeah, Lulu Poppy's really scary. I think the ban might come into Scion Dra. Oh, we see the ban. It's Sivir Akshan and Scion Draven. All right, so Scion Draven gets banned out. Sivir Akshan, an interesting ban from Odyssey.
Yeah, I felt like the Ping City was decent into that one simply because you can go so much wider than they can in the early game. You've got so many tools to pop the spell shield on the Sivir, and maybe you just aren't worried about that outcome anymore. But I think that over the course of the day, we've maybe seen some players have awkward, very, very awkward times trying to find targets for their double up. And Akshan Sivir is one of those matchups where you're constantly worried about Sharp Sight and Shapestone throwing off your math there.
Yep. So a bit of an unconventional ban we see from Odyssey here. The Akshan Sivir deck, normally considered pretty weak into Odyssey's lineup. I could have seen a ban into the others, but we get into game one. Odyssey on the Ping City deck, and of course Kevin representing the other side of Bilgewater, the Sejuani deck.
And with two champions in hand, the game plan is ready to go. But there is a chance with such a heavy draw that Odyssey could just come out of the gate swinging. We've got Stone Stackers ready to go with Tough and Impact. It's going to be difficult to take this down.
I'm going to be honest, Karzik, this looks disastrous for Kevin. I mean, this turn 4 attack, 2 turns from now, Odyssey is going to have a full board. Kevin is in top deck mode. He frantically needs to draw something that he can play right now. And he draws another Sejuani. He has to pass. This is so awkward for him.
This is absolutely cursed. This Plunder deck has inherited the old so many bricks you can build a cathedral from Fiora Shen back in the day. We've seen such awkward draws from this archetype. It's really unfortunate to see. Beyond, however, it looks bad now, but as a caster, we got to try to even it out a bit. Maybe Odyssey just only has this in play and just doesn't get any card draw, runs out of fuel.
Copium. No, exactly. Odyssey, he's got the 2 Stone Stackers. These are dealing 3 damage each. The Corsair at 2. I mean, this is already sending Kevin down to 8, and that's even if Odyssey, you know, he doesn't even need to open attack here. If we're looking at Kevin's hand, he's got to figure the open attack is the best play, of course, because there's a lot of 4-mana cards like Yordle Grifter that's likely to just shut this out, and Odyssey's maximizing his damage here, so we definitely like this open attack.
Yeah, look at this big Monster Harpoon being cashed in just to take out a 2-drop. Kevin, this is going to give Odyssey so much information about Kevin's hand quality.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, we get to turn 5, so Kevin is about to start playing basically his first unit all game.
Oh my god, it comes down here. Finally, we've got Gangplank. And
Skarzik, he drew the 3rd Sejuani.
And there's certain matchups where you kind of need this to happen, but now I cursed it. I said that they were having trouble drawing their champions, and Kevin said, well, and I took that personally. So now the Sejuanis are all coming out to play, and just so much wide damage. We got Lecturing Yordle, and there's mana to still cash in. Oh no.
This game's over next turn. This is an absolute blowout. What is going on?
Potential for these aggressive decks to get these free wins puts now Odyssey in a position to have 2 shots.
And I mean, we can see, you know, Kevin, at least he's handling it pretty well. You can see his face. He's just kind of like staring straight forward, kind of stoically. You know, he's not too worried about anything that's happening. He knows that sometimes in card games, you just get a little bit unlucky. We're going to see the surrender. And wow, that's one of the biggest blowouts. That might be the biggest blowout we've seen all tournament.
What an incredibly heavy draw from Kevin. At this point, we know that Kevin is going to draw the next game like an absolute champion, because the RNG, the bad luck, has to even out, right? It would feel so terrible with everything on the line to just have the card game variance boogeyman come through to rob you of this opportunity. Odyssey now feeling very comfortable. 2 opportunities with Poppy Lulu, an absolutely monstrous deck we've been talking about all day.
And I mean, not only that, but Kevin also has to win not just the mirror match, which is a bit of a toss-up, but the plunder matchup into the Poppy deck, and that is very unfavorable for plunder as well. So the odds are really, really stacked against Kevin here. He's gonna have to pull something really, really impressive to take the series.
We've at the very least got an early curve, but Odyssey has Yordle, Smith, Lulu, and Poppy. Odyssey truly blessed here in this series, trying to get his way into day 3. Seems pretty likely from this position swim.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, this is pretty much it. Everyone's tied up. Everyone who's still playing is all one-on-one. So at this point, for the rest of the day, winners make it through and losers do not. This is just a pure even bracket. I can't believe we actually saw it turn out like this.
And I can only imagine the pressure that the players are on at this point. Kevin is so thankful to have an early curve, and Odyssey is just feeling free to take all of this damage, because you know, once you get your setup on the board here, looking at this hand, all you need is a rally, and with this Yordle and arms, it's going to be all she wrote.
Yep, and of course, we can see that, I mean, there's nothing that Kevin can really do here. He goes for the Make It Rain just to try to chip away at the Nexus damage to enable the Black Mark March, and he gets a 1-mana Sharp Sight, which is actually going to come into play.
And the curve is definitely a little bit more evened out. Gangplank coming through with some overwhelm damage. Sejuani to maybe even out against a Poppy. This is looking a bit closer now.
Yeah, this Gangplank draw is really, really huge, Skarzik, because Kevin's basically on the aggro win condition right now. I mean, he has the 1-drops. The Mirai giving the Shell Shocker was absolutely huge. Shell Shocker is like the best thing you can get off of Mirai, and Odyssey is down to 9, and this is Kevin's chance. The Gangplank draw changes everything, because now Kevin has his over-the-top condition. He's got the elusive in hand in the form of Zap. He's got Sejuani and Gangplank. I mean, Kevin might be able to punch through this matchup, and if he can, then we're going to the Bandle City Mirror.
Then Sejuani now can pick her target, second Sejuani, potentially enabling Fury of the North to push through even more overwhelm damage. Odyssey has a fantastic curve from this deck, but not enough time.
Yeah, this is actually turning out disastrous for Odyssey. I mean, he's gonna get an attack in here, and Kevin will have to block something, but Odyssey, even with the rally, is not going to be able to race down fast enough.
There's so many strong chump blockers to just stop this damage. We know Lulu Poppy, their weakness is that you need the Bandle Commandos or leveled up Poppy to get that over the top damage.
Oh man, this is crazy. This rally is actually huge as the Make It Rain taps Kevin under. This is a huge, huge rally because the Lulu levels up off of this rally. It's her 3rd attack. She's going to 3 health. She can heal the Poppy, and suddenly Odyssey's in the driving seat because the Poppy's getting back to full health.
This match has been so volatile. The card draw trying to suggest one player having an advantage over the other, but it comes down to what's going on board. Kevin opting for a slower line of Zap, not just wanting to slam down the Gangplank, and really sacrificing a lot of tempo here, being forced to block. And now with Lulu Poppy essentially clearing a board, taking over, Kevin is now shaking. If I can't kill this Poppy, she will level up next round, and suddenly we do have that over-the-top damage that this deck is going to need to close out from such a health total. 7 HP now for Kevin here in Game 2. Odyssey within a stone's throw of securing that top 8 spot.
Oh man, and this looks bad for Kevin. I mean, the bad matchup gets worse. Even though he had the early aggressive play, he's just under too much pressure at this point. The rally top deck by Odyssey turned everything around, and now Kevin is struggling to find out a way to be able to survive one more attack.
Sejuani onto the Poppy just gets nullified because now you have the help picks to grant her barrier.
It does deal damage though, because we do have overwhelm, but the help picks changes everything here.
Yeah, saving the Poppy and then just getting that +2/+2. You've got the impact damage. You've got potentially Yordles and arms next round combined with the Bandle Commando. There's just so much going on, and Kevin's heavy hand does not have the reactivity you need at this point.
I mean, there's no possible way for Kevin to survive one more onslaught from Odyssey's board. It's just not going to happen. So Kevin is basically just looking for lethal right now. The Zap will level up the Sejuani if put on the left side, but he knows that Odyssey just played the Bandle Commando, so he knows that the elusive blocker is there. The Sejuani levels, and now the way Kevin has an out here is off of something like a warning shot off the top deck. That would allow the Sejuani to freeze the entire board and maybe give him a chance to win this. He needs to find it right now.
And we'll see the top deck. Dreadway
Going to do it. Sejuani without triggers.
Heavy. And Keeper's Verdict off of Poppy number 2 gonna send Sejuani back to the top of the deck and clear a pathway to victory here for Odyssey.
It does allow a new Sejuani, but this is not going to be enough to stop all this damage because Skarzig, Poppy is also leveling on this open attack that Odyssey can do. Well, he can play Tenor first, but the Poppy is going to leveled Lulu plus leveled Poppy is a nasty combination.
Yeah, you just give the attack right back to the Poppy. You've got even help picks to put vulnerable on the Sejuani and just drag her down to the side.
Yep. And with Poppy just giving everything impact, I mean, you know you have the ability to generate lethal here. Honestly, just double checking.
And now we're just waiting. Yep, just hovering that eye, doing the math. Big shout out to the Oracle's Eye, by the way, making some of these board states look a little bit cleaner. And Odyssey just breathing a sigh of relief, it seems. Still worried, right? I mean, 1 HP from KevinLOR, still worried about a warning shot top deck because now you're committing, right? You're committing into potentially your board getting value traded, and then Kevin swings back on you. But you have to take advantage.
Exactly.
You have to take advantage of
playing around
this
that
massive...
shot.
Yeah, and look at this. Putting the barrier on the Lulu, saying out of all the units that are in play right now, Lulu's the one I need to save because this is going to repeatedly buff up my elusive unit.
Yep, and Odyssey sees no warning shot. And look at that big ol' smile on his face. This is the face, Odyssey, this is the face of a man who knows he's going to top 8. Odyssey securing his position in day 3, the finals of the tournament.
The Plunder deck could not get it done. We know that this has been a bit of a weak link over the course of the last couple days, and even the Ping City has looked a little bit weak, but that game, that aggressive blowout, just might change everybody's opinion about this list. That strong early draw up against the heaviest brick we've seen, I think, over the last couple days. Just, so unfortunate, but big congratulations once again to Odyssey, Southeast Asia, really representing today.
Yeah, they're picking it up, and I can't wait to see how every region is going to perform by the end of the day.
I mean, we still have 2 more matches to go where we are going to decide the final 2 players moving on to tomorrow's top 8. But this is super exciting. I mean, remember from the interview, Skarzig, like, Odyssey was just happy to be here. Now he has he's moved on to the second stage where he has a real shot at becoming the world champion.
The lineups that we've seen here, the games that we've seen, we know the play is clean. It's just about those smart bans, reading your opponent's matchups, because we saw like the ban there was a bit odd, but it paid off in the end. 2 shots with Lulu Poppy to take that series was just phenomenal, and hopefully Odyssey doesn't get intimidated, right, at this stage of competition, recognizing, hey, you've made it to this point, you deserve to be here. And who knows, maybe we'll see he'll come in tomorrow with big shades on, swag Odyssey. I'm here for it.
I hope so. I hope so. The big sigh of relief was very, very cool to watch. But let's go ahead and show off the standings because we have moved 1 player on from Group C and 1 player on from Group D. Group D, Yamato and Odyssey both securing their spots in the top 8, but we still have to decide between Ragnarosich and Alan and Majin Bay versus Shihu. This is going to be an incredible end to the day, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Swim, what are your kind of final thoughts before we move into these final 2 matches?
I mean, I'm honestly excited to see how EU performs. Both Alan and Shihu are people that I've known for a very long time. They were both playing this game from the very start, almost 2 years ago now, and I'd like to see them do well. I really would, especially after EU's showing in day one, you know?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. We're going to keep the suspense going, though, because we're going to be taking a short break, and then when we come back, we're deciding everything.